Hello Print Society, Jay here with Elegant Edits. I want to show you how to remove the capping station, or the capping assembly as most people call it, here. And you will first have to remove the cover and everything. I assume you know how to do that. I know that I supply my customers with the user manual as well as the field repair guide, but I may have other videos out before this one showing just how to remove the top cover and the right cover in order to access these parts. So assuming that you already know how to do that, or you've watched a previous video, we should be ready to go. So firstly, we will want to remove this guard here that rests against the IS unit. I'll try to get this repair done without being in the way, but it's a little bit hard because we're working with a limited amount of space here. There should be one screw in the middle here that just comes right up. We can set that to the side. Next, you'll see two more screws that you would have to remove to unsecure the capping assembly itself. One is going to be located right here, and the other is located on the side here. You will want a magnetic screwdriver to do this, because if the screw falls inside of the printer, it's a nightmare to try to fish it out. And again, I'm trying to do this to where you can still see, but to where I don't drop the screw on the inside of the printer, so it's a little bit difficult here. Okay. Alright, that's done. I'll adjust the camera so that we can get a side view of the printer itself. Okay, so next we want to remove the housing from around the aid board, or the AID board. There should be one here, here, and one underneath. Okay, keep these screws together just so that we don't get mixed up here. Now we want to remove both of these leads, or these wires here. This is connected to the capping assembly itself, but this will need to be removed from the aid board. This is the AID, or the aid board. You have one screw here, one screw here. Again, keep up with these. And once we go for reassembly, remember that the yellow wire goes up top, black wire on bottom. Okay, and you want to remove it from this little space here. Now we can work on removing the waste ink tube, or the tubes that connect from the capping assembly to the waste ink tube. This is the waste ink tube here, and these are the two that connect from the spitting box and the cap pad, or the head cap as they call it. So let's remove these, and upon reassembly, the tube on the right goes up top, and the tube stemming on the left side of the capping station goes on the bottom. Now, let's undo these clips here. It's just a little clip. Press to release. These two as well. These are upside down. And these are actually harnesses that keep these wires into place and out of the way of the cleaning pump here. So, next, I'll show you which wires you actually need to remove for the capping assembly, and there will be 4. So the first two wires you will need to remove are these two blue. And the other two would be this red connector and this yellow one. It's a little bit hard to see. What you'll want to do is take a flat blade screwdriver, and let me grab that real fast. Okay, and you want to just wedge the flat blade against the edge and gently push away, and that is how you properly remove these. All right, those two are done, and these are a little bit tricky. You may not have to remove this back panel here. I don't have to. I have pretty narrow fingers, but if you don't, you'll have to actually look at the manual and you'll be able to see how to do that. And these I'm grabbing firmly here. That's one blue wire. Second. Now we can run these through. Run these through there. You can see, you can trace these back through the clamps. And now we have officially removed everything we need to remove to actually pull this capping assembly out of here. So stay tuned. Okay, now we have our brand new capping assembly here, direct from Epson. In all of its glory here. Remove this, so it's already come off in transit from the cap pad. Then we have this over the head cap that we need to remove, this cover. It's a dust cover. Remove that all. That simply just comes off. We remove that. And they just twisted these to keep them taut and secure. And transit. There we go. Okay, they wrap those pretty good. They definitely know how to braid hair, whoever did this. This is pretty tightly braided together. Okay, we're almost done with this. Then we'll be ready to remove the old capping assembly and reinstall the new one. Okay, so now we are ready to pull the bad unit out. Again, we move this here, and what you want to do is take this, pull up just a little bit, tilt it that way. So you'll pull up and tilt it downward, and then you'll pull it out. Be careful not to touch your encoder strip here or the carriage belt or the carriage rod. So we're lifting up gently. We're going to tilt it. You can even pull it back towards yourself a little bit, give it a little shake. And we just don't want anything to touch the encoder strip or you'll be in trouble. So now you can start to see these coming right through this little hole here. We have our new capping assembly here. And what we want to do is feed the wires through here first. And I didn't think about this before, but in hindsight, I think that had we left those cables slightly braided, we can run them through there. So, but I'm not an authorized Epson technician. So we just figure these things out. So there's 1, 2, and the third set of wires here. And now we need to expose the, oh, they wrap this around too. Okay, they just tuck them in here. These wires that, again, they connect to the AID board or the AID board. So we're tilting this downward. We can feed this through, because once the capping assembly is actually in here and it's seated properly, we will not be able to get these wires through. We won't have access to these. So now I'm going to take these tubes that connect to the waste ink line, and I'll try to grab these, pull these through. Again, you know, good luck if you have, you know, big hands, because it's a little tricky here. Okay, so both of these lead to the waistline, but I like to install things the way that Epson installed them. So we'll basically, again, we'll follow the tube on the right side. The way that Epson installs them is on the top. So we'll connect this to the top, make sure it's secure. And the left tube goes on the bottom here. Those are connected. You can pull this through. Now this should sort of rest into place here. Now we can get our screwdriver and pull this into place, and you should see this bracket line up to the chassis here. And you don't want to screw the screw all the way in. You want to leave a little play there so that once we screw the other screw in, it can sort of be maneuvered perfectly in alignment, so that when the carriage moves over, it can properly seat over the head cap. Okay. There we go. Now, remember, yellow goes on top, black on bottom, but I'll do the black first. Just makes more sense to be able to access that. You don't need to screw these very tightly, just screw them what we call hand tight, because you do not want to strip the screws out. Okay, they're secure. No need to over tighten, remember, just hand tight. And I'm going to leave my cover off because I may be installing a new aid board here, but you will actually just want to put this cover back. You have your 3 screws here. And lastly, we will need to run these wires through. Don't want to pull too hard, but we do need to pull them all the way through to give us enough slack. Make sure they can reach the panel again. Now, your grain wires will actually be coupled together, and you'll run them this way. So let's clip this through, and it just glides over the top of the cleaning pump, and we'll secure that. We won't secure this last clip just yet because we need to guide the red and white wires through. So the way this is run is it goes over the top of this clip and then behind the pump tube, which connects near the top here. So now we can group all of these wires together and snap them into the harness. This goes underneath. Snap it into the harness, snap it in, group it with all of these now. Sometimes this is a bit tricky to connect because there's so many wires here. Okay, there we go. We can feed all of these through. And you can do it in whichever order you'd like, but I like to start from the bottom upward. So now we have our red and white, our red and our yellow connector that goes here, and then our two blue connectors that go in the top here. And remember, there's no way you can get the two blues mixed up because they're two different sizes. This one's bigger, this one's smaller. So Epson has made it very easy not to get crossed up. There's no way for me to do this with one hand, so I'll try to get as close as I can for you to see the connection. And that will be the end of this repair. Okay, so now let's start with the red connector. And the side that attaches is the side where you can actually see the metal leads of the wire. You can actually see the wires through that. That's the side that needs to be connected. I like to take 2 fingers here, get it horizontal, and then that makes it easier to connect. Or you could just remove the panel, but I'm all about speed and efficiency and just getting the job done right. But one could argue that if you take the time to remove the panel, you can connect them faster. So it's arguable. Okay, again, you can see the wires on this side, so that is the correct side. All right, make sure they're connected. Now we just have the blue. That's pretty straightforward here. Again, if you have pretty narrow hands, this is your time to shine. If you've always been picked on for having small hands, this is your time to shine on this repair here. Okay. Try not to get in the way, but I guess you can't see the overhead anyway. But once you connect this connector back to this panel, that should be the end of this repair. You can power the unit on and you should be fine. Okay, and secure these wires into this little harness there. And that is a successful repair. Just remember to check your ribbon cables. Okay, just remember to double check your waste ink lines. It's the most important part. Well, they're all important. Just make sure all of your connections are secure, that everything is fed, nothing is rubbing against anything because this motor spins. It's pretty hard to do that, but that is a successful repair on the pump cap assembly, or the capping station as we like to call it, on the Epson P5000. Thanks, and as always, stay elegant.